Bob, welcome. Good to see you. Welcome to the program.
It's a delight to be with you.
My
again.
pleasure. My old teacher, Mr. Wolff, who is in his seventh decade as a broadcaster, the legendary Bob Wolff. And Bob has now, who goes all the way back to, as people know, I'm sure, of his famed career, goes back to the Washington Senators and has now made a gift to the Library of Congress of materials, Bob, and tapes that you have saved and stored, which are now a treasure trove of really amazing things which you have now given to the Library of Congress, which is a very nice gift that you have now bestowed on the Library of Congress.
It was a question to my wife of which will have to leave, either me or the tapes.
She decided to keep you after all these years.
Yeah, it was
very
a close call, you understand.
Now, Rick, you've heard these many times, right? I'm sure.
What, the tapes?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
No, these go back, Mike, to the late 1940s and 50s, and they were literally stashed away in steamer trunks in the basement for 50, 60 years. So I certainly have not heard these because, quite frankly, many of them were recorded on such ancient devices like these reel-to-reel Wollensack tape recorders, and before that, these giant lacquer discs. So nobody had the technology to play these things. So I haven't heard them until a couple of weeks ago.
Bob, who is a storied career. Bob, your career, let's give the folks who may, and I don't know if there's be anybody in the audience, but someone who might not be familiar with your entire career, let's go through the steps and so that the folks can tell the path you've traveled, and then we'll play some of these amazing tapes that you have. Your first job was what year and where?
It goes back to the 1939, I became a professional sportscaster. I had gone to Duke University. My ambition was to get to the big leagues, and I had a great break. It was my ankle.
You were a baseball player, right?
I was a baseball player.
As was Rick.
And Rick, too, and Rick's son as well. And as a consequence, WDNC, a CBS station down there, carried all of the university games, not only of Duke, but of all the teams in North Carolina. And they said, sit in with the cast on your leg and tell the guys about your teammates. Right. I did that for 2 or 3 weeks, and they seemed to like it. And then the regular announcer left, and they said, you want a job? You can be our broadcaster. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, that was the break that put me on the air.
1939, and folks, he has worked every day since. So, I mean, it is a remarkable career that took you through the Washington Senators. And then, obviously, I mean, I can go through the Garden and all the years, but let's take it one step at a time. From Duke to where?
After Duke came the war service.
Right.
Another great break.
Right.
I wrote a book during the war. I was in the Solomon Islands at an advanced base with the Seabees, and all the stuff that they had taught me in training before I went overseas was at the Harvard Business School, what to do on a ship. But here I was on an advanced base, the rain coming down, just jungle area, and everything they taught me had no bearing on the war. So I got a photographer from the battalion. He took before and after pictures, and I wrote a manual of how to teach these things in a modern way to keep up with the pace. And I sent it back knowing 2 things. Either I'd be court-martialed or commended.
And you were commended.
Fortunately, that's what happened. They said, we're bringing you back. The book's being published. This is your office. Rewrite the Navy manual for supply.
Wow.
That's how I got there. I married a beautiful Navy nurse, Jane Louise Hoy. Everything happened for the good in Washington. And then I heard about an invention called television, became the city's first TV announcer.
And what year was that?
That was in 1946.
And what station was that?
WTTG, the Jumont station.
Okay. And then, obviously, to the Washington Senators. Were they carried on that station?
Yeah, they carried them. In fact, it was practically the beginning of all sports.
Okay.
The movies were the big rivals.
Right.
And then after that, it seems that at Madison Square Garden, all the people who broadcast their games in the pre- and post-game shows were my sponsors in Washington. So they liked what they heard. They brought me up to be the Madison Square Garden announcer.
Bob did some of the great Knick games. The game where they made the great comeback against Cincinnati to break the record. Many great events. Knick games, you'll hear Bob's voice, did many of the great Knick games and many of the great Madison Square Garden events. And also many other things, World Series, NFL great games, did the great the Giant Colt game. I mean, some of the great events you've been a big part of.
It takes a lot of luck to be at the right place at the right time.
And a lot of talent.
I happen to be there for the Don Larson no-hitter and the Knick TV championships.
Sure.
It takes a lot of doing and a lot of people who have the faith to give you the chance.